I'm Jenny from See You Are Able. We were invited to the Somerset to go and give a talk about low vision. So Caleb and I are going to take a walk down memory lane. Over to you, Caleb.
We went to the lifestyle and retirement centre called the Somerset in Somerset West, and just met some lovely people. And I'm fascinated by the design of the environment. So here we are at the front gates. I'm grateful Caleb was driving because I wouldn't know which way to go. As we went through, we approached a building. There were a lot of dark spots, so I thought that's possibly windows. So I think the next photo goes a bit closer.
Yep.
I'm always delighted to see lots of windows because it means natural light, and natural light can be great for low vision. This helps you to orientate yourself in a room or in a building. So we went on in, and of course, it's all about the people. So let's go and meet some people. So here's a lady with low vision. I couldn't see her. I was so grateful she's wearing a scarf around her neck because I knew to aim my nose that her head is somewhere between the two parts of the scarf. So that's what happens when you have low vision. It's important to dress yourself as well. So when you look in the mirror, you know where your head is. So for those of you with low vision, my hair is the white blob above a striped shirt today. And I'm usually got glasses on my head, which make me look a bit like Mickey Mouse, but it's my signature Alice band. All right, and that's Caleb with us there. I also want you to notice the light in the building. Behind Caleb, there is a window, but it's an internal window. So it's allowing the natural light to come from the one room into the other one, but it's not intense light. At the back, you'll see there is a door that's open, light coming in, also useful, but the amount of glare there would be a little bit more. So people who are glare sensitive, you'd rather sit away from a door like that or with your back to the door. So we can move on in. There, so this is the bar area in the lifestyle center. It's just beautiful. As you can see, the white catches the light. So for someone with glare problems, it's important that you've got the right glare protection on your eyes so that to cope with that. But what I like about this is that the detail on the ceiling was a place for my eyes to focus, to get a grounding spot. So it's important when you go into a room that you're unfamiliar with, you find a place to ground, to just sort of settle your eyes, and then you orientate yourself from there. So perhaps we can just zoom in on the beautiful shadows that are made by the ornate plaster work. So that's up in the corners of the bar. And that shadow, it looks like a different color paint, but it's actually the same color, just with the lighting on it. And something like that is very useful in a modern building where there's a lot of plain, elegant, natural lighting. Let's move on from here, Caleb. Thanks. And these are the bar stools. I was fascinated by the colors that we used. The bar stools were slightly different colors, and there was a nice teal. It's also very helpful when, as a person with low vision, to see the difference between the floor and the upright and the vertical, whether it's a wall or here it's the bar counter. The white skirting is very important for low vision. It just helps you to know where you are in space. If it was the same color, then you wonder where the floor is, especially as you get a little older. So we can move on to the next picture. And here you will see one of the artwork on the wall. What has happened is the interior decorators have taken the colors from this painting of these pelicans, and they've used those colors in the furnishings. So the white, obviously on the walls, you'll see it floor in the ceiling and the floor, but they've picked out some of the colors there, the teals and the greens, and it was in the colors of the pelicans' beaks. You'll see in the dining one. Here, you'll see that there's a texture, well, you may be able to see, I hope you can see, there's something of the texture of the chair with the same color in it. And it's very peaceful to have a very sort of a muted color palette with some bold in it. Here, the floor is acting as the grounding point because it's darker. And once again, the contrast between the floor and the skirting is very important. I'm glad I didn't paint the walls with that same sort of beigey color. Yep, especially when you've got peripheral vision. Peripheral vision helps you to orientate yourself in space. So if you've got a macular degeneration or some kind of central vision loss, then peripheral clues are very important. this is elsewhere in the building into the frail care. And what I loved about this passage, first of all, you'll see the contrast between the skirtings and the floor. I keep on saying you'll see. Those those of you who can see well. But what I really enjoyed about this is they've got these beautiful paintings on the wall, and they're not just there to be used as landmarks. So if you live down this corridor and your room is one of them, you know, I can walk past the third painting and my door is on the left after the third painting. But also these paintings had a backing which made the soundproofing so great. There's no echo in this corridor. It feels cozy. It feels safe. It's in a frail care. It's a place where you really want to feel safe. So once your site is going, you want to be rid of echoes that make it feel like a vast space that you could get lost in. And it also helps you to hear better. So we can move on. The next photo, also of the same passage, and it shows it's got a light. So at night there's a floor light which goes on. So it is quite bright even in the daytime. But at nighttime it really shines onto the floor, but also will reflect on the skirtings, and the skirtings will then make like a natural runway as if you're on an aeroplane about to take off. Provide that kind of visual clues. So when we talk about occlusion, just remember the CLU in occlusion is about clues. It's about peripheral clues. I was interested to see the bathroom. Often people paint the doors of the bathrooms the same color as the walls. So I'm glad that the doors are different colors to the walls. It helps you to be able to identify which is a doorway and which is just a wall. The great thing here is that the aluminium strip on the floor is reflecting the light that's coming off the floor. So it's making it look very dark. If you had to get down to floor level and look at this, the aluminium will look very shiny. So this actually gives a clue as to where the door starts and ends, and it increases the contrast between the door and the skirting so that you know where the edges are, so you don't clip your ankles on the way in. We went through the frail care, and I was delighted to see, firstly, they had a Mexican theme in there just to brighten the place up. No one wants to be in a drab frail care dining area. And here they've also, what I found useful was different color tablecloths. So for those who still have color vision, it helps you, or people who forget, if you've got a red badge on and you know you sit at the red table, you can just match the colors. A lot of times people can do things like that. So it's important to have these little landmarks that help people to feel secure in space. As you approach the table as well, the tablecloth helps to denote where the edge of that table is, because the tables are similar color to the floor, but having the tablecloths on them then gives that pop of the 3D. Then we're going now to the exteriors. This is from the outside of the building. And we're going to be looking at some of the paving and the brickwork as we're going along. What I enjoyed was the signposts. They were white, matching the theme of in the village. They had a nice contrast with the font. Caleb, I'm not sure if you can zoom in on the font at all.
Let me give it a go.
Give it a go.
There. Can you see that?
It hasn't changed for me, but if it changed on the recording,
it's changed on the recording.
But we'll describe it. Just describe the font. What color is it?
It's black, but it's on that white color surface, so it sticks out quite nicely, and it's a readable font without curls, and it's in caps.
Okay, so it's not too ornate. It's not all in caps, is it?
It is all in caps, which does make it a little bit easier to read.
Okay, so caps, that's a debate low vision people have. Sometimes you recognize by the shape of the word. Obviously the length of the word as well. If you live in a street with a long name like Fluvielke, then you will just see the one with the biggest writing would be your street. So there are other ways besides reading that you can get clues as to where you are. What I like about this is also this white signboard is against the coloring of the houses. Obviously, usually there's garden behind a signpost, which is helpful, but also the darker colors of the buildings then help you to see the white signpost popping out. So then we drove along through the village. And what I enjoyed, apparently Caleb says this one is out of focus.
Yes.
But what I enjoyed here is that at the crossings, the brickwork changed. Obviously, it creates a natural speed bump, but also the color of the brickwork is slightly different. And I was impressed that the colors are continuous. So if we go to the next slide, you'll see that the safe places to walk are in the lighter brick. So that this is a lighter brick from a walkway coming up to a driveway. And the places where it's a little bit dangerous is a darker gray. So driveway is a darker gray, and the edge of the walkways towards the road. And then when we did go back to the crossing, I'm not sure if you can, you'll see that it was the lighter bricks, which means it's safer then to walk. This is the next one. It also shows it in a different lighting. But just to have that clear definition between the edge paving and the paving you walk on is very helpful. I've been to another retirement center where it was reversed, and the light was on the outside and the dark was in the middle. That was quite difficult though, because the light paving next to the cement paver didn't give a nice contrast. And also when it's dark, often people wear dark shoes. And then you struggle to see your feet on that paving. So I really like this walking on the lighter areas. Yeah, the contrast then with the edge paving is great. So here's the light, the sunset on the Somerset. And it's just, for me, it's beautiful. With having very little vision, when I look at this painting, all I can see is kind of a perspective leading me down a road where the light is catching the lightness of that paving, a nice glow on that photo. Perhaps the photographer used a filter there, but isn't that beautiful? Coming to the next picture. The same color white has now picked up the color of the sunset, and it's just such a beautiful picture. We had a lovely day out there. I'm grateful to those who invited us, but hope that you've learned something about the design for navigation for seniors, people wearing trifocals, anyone with confusing eye conditions or a kind of a cortical visual impairment. But for low vision, particularly a central vision loss, so your age-related macular degeneration, Stargardt's disease, and other kind of dystrophies that affect the macula, other macular diseases, it's important to have those peripheral clues for navigating within a building, for giving yourself peace inside a building, using colors and landmarks, but then also for the designers of these spaces to remember how important the color and contrast is for the safety of those who are going to be using the space. So thanks, Caleb. That was a cool day out, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was lots of fun.
Cheers, everybody. We'll see you next time. Remembering that awareness unlocks inclusion.